My name is Jennifer, and I am an addict. I just want to start by thanking everyone for being here tonight. Like we just said, the 12th step is to share what we have learned in this program. And as I've gained clean time and I have an opportunity to speak, I always think to myself, I don't have any new shit to say. Y'all have already heard all this shit. A lot of you guys have watched me do this entire thing. But if anything that I say tonight can help someone have some identification or just get a little morsel of freedom, then that's what I'm here to do. I remember the first time I got asked to speak, and I was, it was like a newcomer thing, and it was all about me. And it was, what was I going to say? What was I going to wear? And I did plan the sweater, but still. But it's not like that anymore. Now it's about the newcomer, and I just got 9 years. And there have been times, thank you. Dude, I remember when I could not get out of the fucking bathroom. And now I've got 9 years. It's crazy to me. And there have been times, obviously I'll get to the part where I tell my story, but where the rubber has hit the road and the reasons that I stay clean have varied throughout the years. And there has been a time or two where the reason I've chosen to stay clean is because I want to be there when someone just like me wanders in brand new and just says, I need help and doesn't know what to do. And I just want to be able to be there to help someone get that freedom and not be so lost. My biggest memory of being an addict is the loneliness. And that extended for me, I believe that being an addict, those traits were there from a young age. I am a product of multi-generational trauma, poverty, substance abuse, alcoholism. I come by this disease very honestly. In the course of some of my step work, actually, I did a little family tree where I labeled everybody, and it was just using mental health, using poor, dereliction, jail, just all across the board. And there's not a lot of hope in that. There's not a lot of hope in that for a little girl, and there's not a lot of people that are paying attention. There's not a lot of people that are teaching you how to think and that are teaching you how to feel, how to be responsible with your feelings, how to just guide you through the world. I don't remember a single time that anyone ever asked me, how was your day? And what I remember is being really lonely until I got into high school and I met the people that were doing drugs. And the people that were doing the drugs were the first people that were really happy to see me. They were the first people that everybody was welcome. Just come on down. And it just gave me a place to be. And it gave me relief. The core of this disease is self-centered fear. And what that means to me is I have an altered perspective. I have a tendency to have a disconnection with hope. And I have a tendency to have a very strong connection with fear, which I like to use. My biggest tool against fear is control. I can control goddamn everything in the world. And all of that sort of stuff manifested a really long time ago. And I started off really honestly. I had a job where I was really lonely. I was the bar manager of the downtown Portland Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was closing 5 nights a week. I was getting off work at 1 a.m., and I would go over to the Rialto, and I would get a drink, and I would close the place down, and then I'd be all hungover the next day, and I had someone that would just sell me some Vicodin. And it made me want to smile and clean shit. And guess what my job was? To walk around smiling and cleaning shit. I was like, this is great. And that's the thing about drugs, is that they work. In the beginning, I wasn't lonely being at work for all those long hours in a job that I fucking hated. I hated that job. But I couldn't quit because I didn't know how to do anything for myself. I didn't know how to be I don't like this. I should go do something else. They wanted me to do it because they knew that I was good at it. So I wanted to do it because they wanted me to do it. One more time in one little way, what I needed or what I wanted didn't matter. I just wanted to make other people happy and just be seen. And I'll loop all this around eventually, I hope. But this program is about personal freedom. It's the Narcotics Anonymous message is that any addict can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. And the find the new way to live part is getting a better perspective on our lives and getting little pieces of personal freedom. Because left to my own devices, I'm literally locked inside a self-made prison. I'm locked inside a self-made prison of isolation and fear, where everything bad's going to happen and nothing's good is going to happen and no one's paying attention and I know I'm going to fuck it all up and everyone's going to find out any fucking minute, and it's just not real. My addiction, my addict, speaks to me in my own voice, inside my own head, and tells me lies. And the program of Narcotics Anonymous has been a guidepost for me. It's literally like a roadmap. Not being in the program is like trying to climb up a mountain without a trail. You're like coming over here, and then you're going over here, and then you're going back that way, and you just can't find shit. But in Narcotics Anonymous, I'm just like, oh, do. But the thing is that it only works if you work it. And I came into this program before I had ever hit a bottom. I actually came into this program before I'd ever even been strung out. I had I had a lot of spiritual awakenings and a lot of relapses. I came into this program right after I realized I couldn't go a single day without just smoking weed or drinking. I had a day off and I was sitting there scrolling my phone trying to figure out who I could hang out with to either smoke some weed or just get a beer. And I was like, damn. And then I just started thinking to myself, when was the last time I had gone one day without any sort of a substance? The pills and all that shit weren't even on the radar at that point. Denial. And I reached out to someone who took me to a meeting that day. It happened just like that for me. I can't even imagine the people that are in their addiction that don't even know that the program exists. Like, I got really lucky. Maybe. Because then what that looked like for me is coming into these rooms for multiple years, systematically humiliating myself, I couldn't even say I was doing newcomer shit because I was still high. I just told this story at my home group the other day. I remember going to the mall to cop a bag and getting loaded in the bathroom at the mall while I was texting everyone that I had made friends with in the rooms, telling them that they should come to my 30 days. And then everyone showed up to get my 30-day key tag. And I was just loaded off my ass. I've gotten loaded in meetings. I've gotten loaded in the bathroom at sober softball. I have done all of those things because I didn't have a fundamental first step. And the first step is that I'm powerless over my addiction and that my life has become unmanageable. And powerless over my addiction, like, what does that mean? I didn't know. I didn't know what that meant, and I didn't understand what a reservation was. So I kept coming in and out and back to detox, and then I'm in treatment, and then I would get periods of clean time. But I'll tell you that an addict who's not using, it's in the literature, I'll paraphrase this, probably shitty, but an addict who is not using but isn't working a program is a dangerous little creature. And I was definitely a dangerous little creature. And most of all, we harm ourselves, though. I was lonely, and I was dying, and I was all dolled up, and I was in all the right places with all the right friends, and I was just dying inside because I had bad information. I had the same information that I had from the very beginning, which is that nobody gives a shit and nobody's paying attention. Every man for themselves, and you just don't really matter. Like, for me, that's my belief about the core of my disease. That's like how it's manifested for me, and I know it's different for everyone, but we're all recovering from different things. And we found the ultimate coping skill, which was a place to be with people that would keep you really busy and you wouldn't have to feel your feelings. And I was in and out of these rooms, and I just remember various moments of clarity. One of them, I was in my little studio apartment, and I was watching this really weird British reality TV show, and there was this guy, and he was riding this Arabian horse through the desert in the Middle East for his birthday. And I was like, I want to ride a Arabian horse in the desert. And then I realized I wasn't going to go anywhere. I wasn't going anywhere. It was every single dream that I have, every single moral, every value, and every dream I have, or drugs. And it was a really hard choice. And that was fucked up. But I still got high again. And just going to loop this in there right now, I actually did end up going to ride a horse in the desert. I went to Egypt. And I got to ride a horse around the pyramids. And guess what? I'm scared of horses. I forgot. Fantasy is a bitch. I was terrified the whole damn time. And this guy was like, yalla, 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 trying to get the horses to run. I was like, will you knock that shit off? It was fucking freaking me out. I got off that horse as quick as I could. But I got to do that because I stayed clean. And my final spiritual awakening was a very simple one. I had a place to be, and I had money, and I had a job. But see, I had been around these rooms long enough that I had watched other people's life change. And I learned that there was a new way to live. It was actually Sarah. It was Sarah Z. I called her off a phone list when she had 30 days clean, and she picked me up in her minivan with her little twins. Shit was crazy. You all should have known Sarah back then. That shit was nuts. But in the year and a half that I was in and out and doing crazy shit, Sarah started stabilizing. And her life started changing. And she dove into the program. And I was like, oh, fuck, this program works. And I had another opportunity. I won't tell the whole story this time. But it was Maya, where she offered me a little bit of grace when I didn't deserve it. And she came up to me after some stuff went down. And she told me, I'm really happy that you're in a meeting. And I was like, I really thought this girl was going to beat me up. And I was like, oh, there must be something really big going on here. This woman is just offering me grace, and all she wants from me is to stay clean. And then they started showing up to like a meeting that I was at, and even came and spoke when I was in rehab, just because they wanted me to succeed. They just wanted something good for me, for no other reason than the fact that they had it, and they saw that it worked, and they just wanted to offer a piece of personal freedom to somebody else. Because that's what we do in this program. I'm sitting here looking at a sea of people that want to help other people because they know what it's like to be lonely, and they know what it's like to see no way out. And they know that this program works. And like, there's another one of my little taglines, like, I didn't want to be a recovering addict when I grew up. There is no picture of me as a child holding a sign saying, second grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? Poster child for NA. Never something that I wanted. Best life I've ever had. More than I could have ever dreamed. That another one of the sayings, if you wrote a list of everything that you thought you wanted when you first got here, you'd be selling yourself short. Because what I get to do now is I get to not only do things for myself. I get to not only think about myself. I get to be like a functioning member of society. So I'm a nurse. And today I got to help this little old man who barely speaks English understand what congestive heart failure is, how to use all his medications. We were like poking his little finger and putting the blood on it and figuring it all out. And I was explaining to him all the medications. I'm like, no, you take 2 of these now. You used to take 1, now you take 2. And he was like, oh, okay. I almost started crying. I get to help someone. But I started taking classes when I was high. I shot up in the parking lot of PCC, and then I'd go into class. I took a PE class one time high, and they were like, Jen's lost the most weight. I'm like, it might be the meth. Yeah. So basically what happened was I had one more moment of clarity that was very simple. I looked around the people that I was hanging out with, and I realized that nobody gave a shit about me. And that's what did it. And I went to Hooper on Christmas Eve, and all those motherfuckers kept saying, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And all I could think of is, if you don't have a present for me, stop saying that. Right. And then I got 2 sandwiches. For lunch, I got a cheese sandwich with no meat. And then for dinner, I got a meat sandwich with no cheese. And I was like, dude, this sucks. And I got out. Then Jen's best thinking comes into play. I really wanted to go to the NA dance, the New Year's dance. So I decided not to take all of my bupe so they would let me out sooner. Well, they didn't let me out sooner. I was just sick as fuck when I got out. So I went to the NA dance anyways. It took me like 2 hours. I would like try to blow dry my hair, and then I have to sit down, and then I was so sick. And I went to the dance, and you see the pictures, I'm like all sweaty. My face is like all shiny. I'm like, oh yeah, it was great. And I met Shannon. Because I went to the right place just because I knew I needed to be around addicts. And then the next day, for no reason, I knew that there was a speaker meeting. And I just thought to myself, I need to be around people in recovery. I need to be around people that want to save their lives. And I just showed up. I showed up there and I met someone who invited me somewhere else. And I just said yes. I stopped fighting it and I just surrendered. I just said yes. And that thing led me to the next thing, and that thing led me to the next thing. And I didn't go to places to look good or to see people or to see and be seen or to be social. I just went somewhere because for once, I just didn't want to fucking get high anymore. And when I surrendered is when I gained everything. It's when I gained absolutely everything. They say surrender to win. And that's my exact experience. And from that day forward, I decided there is a very clear program here, the program of Narcotics Anonymous, and it is written in this book. There is a fellowship, and then there is the program. The program is in our literature, and the program is in our steps. And I think that the step working guide is one of the best pieces of literature that we have. All those little paragraphs in between the questions, those things are fire. The shit that they crack off on me and it blows my mind. And I started working the steps. And I learned in my first step that a reservation was any area of my life that I'm unwilling to apply spiritual principles. I thought it was like, I think I could get high again or I could control it later. I never thought that. But it was any area of my life that I'm unwilling to be honest, open-minded, willing, disciplined. Anytime I choose not to apply these spiritual principles in my life, I am handing away my personal freedom. And I am back in that self-made prison and my own little handcuffs. And it can get as little or as big as I want it. We can back ourselves into a corner that we are not going to get out of clean with an unwillingness to apply spiritual principles to our lives. And this isn't an expectation of perfection. This is an expectation of truly, honestly trying and progress. I had a sponsor once tell me that it was like if you were like a chronic forest fire lighter when you were using, you weren't just going to get clean and like never light a fire ever again. You were like going to light a bonfire, and then you were going to light a campfire, and then hopefully maybe one day you'll just kind of hold a match. But the magnitude will get smaller. The frequency will get farther between. The awareness that it's happening will come sooner. The willingness to do the right thing to get out of it will come easier. And that progress gets to be celebrated. Because perfection leads to paralysis, leads to self-hatred. And my current sponsor always says, thank God I'm not perfect, because then I'd be fertilizer. The only time I'm ever going to be perfect is when I'm dead. There's nothing about these steps and the things that we are going to learn that's ever going to save us from the human experience. The human experience is really hard. Being a human is brutal. And being an addict is even harder. Because we're a group of very smart and very sensitive people. We could take the weather personal. We'll walk into a room and just see all of it really clearly. Oh, he wants her, but she wants him, but they want that over there. And we see it all, and somehow it all hurts my feelings. I don't know why. But the steps give me clarity, and they give me a choice. The steps have offered me this little couple seconds in between information and decision. And I'll tell you this right now, if your behavior is insane, you believe something that is insane, because our beliefs dictate our behaviors. So if you're out there doing some crazy shit, figure you got something down in there. You got something down in there that you're believing that's making that make sense. And you might not even know it yet, but you can know it, because the solution is in the steps. And there's someone here in these rooms that has been through it, that can help you see and can show you how to live if you're willing. If you're willing to say what you're really doing, why you think you're really doing it, just show up. Just answer the question. Just one little bullet point. Just answer it. And then talk to someone about it and watch your life change. It's the craziest thing. Another one, I have all of the little things I always say when I speak. If you told me that I had to climb Mount Everest and then turn around on one foot, speak in ancient Latin, and my life would be fixed and I'd stay clean forever, I would figure that shit out. You tell me to go to my home group once a week? What? Discipline? Consistency? Like literally drive your car across town, just sit your ass in the seat. That's like literally, and tell the truth. Just show up. Just show up. Stop overthinking it. I've never left a meeting and regretted it. I started working the steps. I started figuring out my reservations. And I figured out the fundamental first step. This is what I'll tell you about relapsing. You never know if you're ever going to get clean again. We have a gift, which is the obsession has been lifted. Remember what that was like? The obsession. Couldn't think about anything else, didn't care about anything else. Needing to be at work in 10 minutes, driving in the opposite direction because I need to get a bag. Nothing else mattered. That obsession, I don't stay clean because I fight the obsession every day. I stay clean because the obsession got lifted. When I have used, I remember my last thought before my first relapse. I got clean once, I'll get clean again. 2 years later. I might never get clean ever again. And maybe I'll get clean in 20 years. Maybe I'll die. Maybe I'll go to prison. Or maybe I'll spend the next 50 years high. Wouldn't that be bad? Fuck that. This is a gift. And my fundamental first step is what I have accepted that is written in this book before me. This is a voluntary program with very clear direction. There's a chapter in this book that says, what can I do? And it tells you what to do. And it tells you not to get high. Don't get high no matter what. Or the disease is going to be released all over again. And that was my experience. The second step taught me insanity. What does insanity really mean? How does it manifest in my life? Insanity is my perspective. And if I move my head 2 inches this way, I see something literally completely different. Again, I don't have to climb Mount Everest. I got to move my neck. It's like little. And it can change everything. I'm serious. We make it so complicated. This is a program that it's simple, but we complicate the holy shit out of it. We really, really do. Talk about too smart for the fucking program, man. And then there's the third step that tells me someone actually gives a shit. I am in the care of a higher power. In the care of. That wants good things for me. The fourth step taught me my part. Oh, I'll be so mad at you. And then I'm totally set myself up for that. We're not talking about that right now, though. The sixth step, where I learned that not a single one of my character defects are because I'm a piece of shit. Every single one was because I'm scared and tried to control some shit with some bad information. And it goes on and on and on. Freedom, freedom, freedom. And freedom's not free, but the information is. The choices are mine. Taking care of myself is a really big job. No wonder I put it off for so long. Truly taking responsibility for my life, not great. Hate it. Still hate it. Still hate it. But my dreams are coming true. I can show up. I can be disciplined. I got my dream job. I was high as fuck, being I'm going to be a nurse. Then I decided to apply the program and tell the Oregon State Board of Nursing that I was an addict because I didn't want to spend my life hiding. I didn't want to spend my entire career hiding, waiting for someone to find out. So I just told them the truth right out the gate. And then they put me on a 2-year probation. I wasn't allowed to go to nursing school. All my prerequisites expired. I had to call the phone line every day. I had to pay for my own UAs. They roasted the shit out of me. And you know what? If I had gone to nursing school 2 years earlier, I probably wouldn't have stayed clean. There's not a single really shitty thing that's happened to me that in the end I wasn't oh, that kind of checks out. And then I went to nursing school right when I was supposed to, and I pulled it off. I graduated. My job knew I was an addict right from the gate. I applied to Legacy, and on my application it said spirituality. I don't even know how they knew this, and it said 12 steps. They knew. If you look up my license, I have probationary action. It says using drugs in the form not conducive to being a nurse or whatever. I never even had a license yet, just because I told them that I had been high. I already had a couple years clean when I applied. And I think that's fair. Really vulnerable population. People will just let you in their houses. They believe everything you say. It's a big job. And I can be trusted with it because this program has taught me how to live. And now it's my responsibility not to rob from the program that saved my life. It's my responsibility to just try and give an ounce of what I've kind of sort of figured out, that it's worth it, that personal freedom is worth it. And it comes on the back of the spiritual principles that we learn in these steps. I have to be honest. If I am not honest, I give away my freedom. I have to be open-minded. You can't graft new ideas on a closed mind. And I have to be willing. Every time I get one of those coins, I rub into it. Have the will to be willing. Never forget what it was really like. Because I don't ever want to go back there. I don't ever want to go back there ever again. Narcotics Anonymous is my home. And I'll close up with this. I got clean with a really big group of friends. And one by one, they all got loaded. Like line them up like pop cans. Pop, pop, pop. They all got loaded. And me and Shannon and Autumn had a little group conference one day. And we just had to decide what we wanted to do about it. What do we think about everyone that's smoking weed? What do we think about everyone that thinks they're normal now? What do we want to do? And we made a conscious decision to double down. This is what we want to do. My name is Jennifer, and I am an addict. I cannot use no matter what. This program offers me a simple solution to have freedom in my life. And it is my choice whether I'm going to have a little bit of freedom or whether I'm going to have a lot of freedom. And that's going to be about my spiritual connection. It's going to offer me hope. It's going to help my perspective to not be surrounded by selfishness, fear, irritation, neuroses, personalizing everything. Those are my defects. Manipulating some shit. Because there's no freedom in any of that. There's freedom in honesty. There's freedom in just staying clean, no matter what. And you can only keep what you have by giving it away. If you have a really bad day, call someone else and ask them how their day is, and don't say shit about yourself. Call someone newer than you. See how they're doing. You feel a lot better afterwards. Just getting out of my own head. Little tiny tricks, little tiny tools. Narcotics Anonymous saved my life. I have the best life I have ever had in my entire life. I'm better off than any of my family because I shot heroin. They're all still fucked up. But I shot heroin and I found Narcotics Anonymous. And I'm not so crazy anymore. That last little bit was a lie. I should say that. That was a lie. I was lying. I shouldn't go out and lie. I gotta think of something else good to say. I just appreciate everyone choosing to be here on a weekend and sharing your recovery with me so I could have a little taste of recovery and keep me going for just one more day. And if any of you are new, I know there's a couple people here with less than 30 days just coming back. I've been there. And we are here to help you. You're onto something big. Just show up. Show up for yourself. You are worth it. And I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, that any addict can stop using. Find a new way to live. You never have to use again, even if you want to. That's all I got.